What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Review and Preview. My name is Tom Scavetta, joined alongside my co-host, Noah Dog Dibler. Thank you all, one and all, for joining us tonight. First off, Noah, how are you doing, man? I know Atlanta loses, falls to 1-2, but a big game for you this week coming up in the world of college football.
Yeah, man. When it rains, it pours. My Falcons have had 3 games that have almost given me heart attacks so far, and Georgia did that last time as well. And now this weekend have to play the college team that usually gives me the most heart attacks on the road as well in Alabama. Definitely going to be a very stressful game. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think we can win, but we got to play a good game. Alabama's looked good so far, but they haven't played a team like Georgia yet, so it's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. Really excited for it. We're going to have Jason back tonight in a little bit. J2 Shifty, that is. Before we get into that, folks, if you're new, checking us out for the first time, make sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, our shameless plug, as we do every single week. And leave a like on our video. It helps with the algorithm. We're not like hungry, but it helps it get seen more. We really do appreciate it. Tell a friend, tell maybe two. But yeah, Noah, let's get into the meat of our first segment. College football week 4 is already adjourned. It is officially fall. Personally, my favorite season of the year because I think fall is for football. And oh boy, what caught your eye in week number 4 with your UGA Bulldogs on a bye?
Well, there were a few things. Number one, the battle of the senior citizens, Utah and Oklahoma State. That was an interesting game. Came down the wire. It was not like I expected. Cam Rising didn't play, and I think Oklahoma State quarterback got benched. But Utah ended up winning a close one there. Something that really surprised me actually was Michigan winning against USC. I actually thought USC would win that game. But, they got a couple key stops at the end there. The offense was what really surprised me. I thought that would be the reason Michigan would kind of struggle in that game. I think Michigan has a good defense, but their offense showed up, did enough to just barely win that game pretty much. Missouri winning in OT against Vandy because the Vandy kicker missed 2 field goals. That was an interesting one. Oklahoma getting, they lost by 10, but realistically, they kind of got killed against Tennessee. It wasn't even close. Nebraska losing to Illinois. That was another interesting one. Louisville winning. Clemson killing NC State. NC State has had it rough this year. And Texas A&M surviving against Bowling Green. I think that was another interesting one.
Yeah, Bowling Green has represented the G5 in the MAC conference very well this year. What's up, Larry Johnson? Speaking of college football, former college football player right there. University of New Haven, shout out. Also, Larry, shout out to your Cowboys. How about them, Cowboys? I stumbled over that one because I'm not used to saying that.
Yeah.
I'm used to saying it. Yeah, let's talk about Illinois. Brett Bielema really has this defense rocking. And Noah, I think Nebraska was a bit overhyped, to be fair, but this Illinois defense is good. And I think their defense sets the tone for every game where, Luke Altmaier, Caden Fagan can take control, and Pat Bryant could exploit defenses very well. I mean, the man has 6 touchdowns already this year. So I thought personally that Friday night game was my game of the week. I've just been really impressed with the Fighting Illini early on this season. What are your thoughts on them? Do you think they're for real with the new 12-team playoff format? Do you think they could make a push? Or does this tougher schedule eventually catch up to them?
Man, it's tough because, like you said, I was really impressed with their defense. I mean, Dylan Raiola was getting hounded all night, threw a big interception as well. I was also very impressed. I thought Altmaier was solid, but 4 touchdown passes from him. And, you mentioned the other skills guys did a great job as well. They contained Dante Dodal, only at 3.6 yards per carry. As for playoff contention, it's tough because like you said, they have tough games. They go on the road to Penn State this weekend, and they play Michigan at home October 19th, at Oregon as well. And they also play Rutgers on the road later in the season, which honestly, Rutgers has looked pretty solid this year, in my opinion. They're undefeated as well. So, I mean, it's not impossible with the 12-team playoff. I think I wouldn't expect them to get one of those automatic bids or anything. I don't think they'll win the Big Ten or anything. I think they have a shot. It's not something I would bet on, though. I think there's a lot of really good teams this year, man. I think you could get, like, honestly, 4 from the SEC. You have the 4 other automatic bids. That's 8 right there. I think you're going to get you could maybe have 2 or 3 from the Big Ten. I think, Ohio State, Oregon. Michigan's technically not out of it. I don't know if there's someone I would bet on, but they're at least in contention. You have Utah, maybe another Big 12 team. It's tough. I think it's possible. I don't think I would bet on it happening.
Let's go through the walk of shame, Noah.
Yeah.
Michael Bradley. How about those Mississippi State Bulldogs blowing out the Gators?
I picked Florida. I picked Florida, man. I wasn't expecting that, but I did pick them.
That's right. I think I picked Mississippi State.
Yeah,
now.
You picked Mississippi State, man. Get it together.
Yeah, I have to get it together. Good stuff, Michael. You called that one. Yeah, I mean, I thought overall it was a good week. Isaac Wilson, second straight start for the Utes. Alan Bowman getting benched. Michael Hawkins Jr., not bad for Oklahoma in relief of Jackson Arnold. That's a conversation I think to be had in the coming weeks. Yeah, USC, welcome to the Big Ten. You can't lose a game and only give up 32 passing yards. That's unacceptable. And I want to shout out one player, Parker Kingston. Oh, my gosh, for BYU. I mean, get this man all the IVs in the world. Like, holy smokes, that boy can move. He basically ran like 150 yards on that play. First off, they almost turned the ball over. The ball bounces past him, right? And then he's going for it, picks it up with defenders on him. And then he just turns upfield. He's like this little 5'10" guy, for BYU, and to turn it up the sideline that fast. And, of course, the comedic relief post-touchdown, after the adrenaline's over and he celebrates, he sits down on the bench and he's feeling real sick. Vomits on the sideline. That is how you do it. Shout out Parker Kingston. You deserve your flowers this past weekend. How about Buffalo?
Yeah, man.
NIU.
Buffalo doing what Notre Dame couldn't, man.
You like being on the show, right, Noah?
Yeah, man. I love it.
You like being on the show?
I do, man.
Oh, boy. All right. So let's get into our shots and chasers for college football this weekend, folks. If you have any comments in the comments section, shoot your predictions of the games for us. We're going to go over 5 specifically this week. And, of course, we got the big one with Georgia-Bama SEC battle. Don't love that it's this early in the season this year. Noah, I'm sure we'll get your thoughts on that as we get to that game. But first up, we have a ranked matchup in the Big 12. We have number 20, Oklahoma State, traveling to number 23, Kansas State, where KSU is favored by 6. Noah, neither quarterback of each of these teams looked good last week at all. I believe one of them got benched and the other really just got
killed.
Yeah. Avery Johnson had like no time to decide back there on the road. And to be honest, Noah, that was his first true road game as a college football starter. And that was a bit overwhelming. You got a crowd of Mormons yelling and screaming very, very loud at you. It's not easy to deal with. It's not.
Yeah, man. He ran into the BYU buzzsaw. I mean, 38-9. I was definitely not expecting that one, especially a week after Kansas State had a big win against Arizona in dominating fashion. To be honest, I think this is kind of a coin flip game. But because Kansas State is at home, and I think they still have a solid team, I think that was just one of those games where, I mean, BYU came to play and just, it was all downhill from there. And like you said, tough road atmosphere as well. This one as home, to be honest, I've not really been majorly impressed with Oklahoma State. I think I did pick them last week to beat Utah. But I mean, they looked impressive against Tulsa, but had a struggle win against Arkansas, and obviously they lost to Utah in a game when their offense just really never got going at all. Even if Alvin Bowman plays, I mean, I don't know. The quarterback situation's up in the air. It looks like. I think Avery Johnson does have talent. I honestly think it was just kind of one of those bad games that you have as a player. I mean, he's a young guy, like you said. He's only a sophomore this year. Give me Kansas State to win this one. Final score, I don't know, like 31-24 or something like that.
Yeah, I trust Giddens on the ground and Chris Kleeman's team to turn it around. However, Oklahoma State, very experienced coach, and Mike Gundy. He's been there since 2005. It's been almost 20 years for him now. And I feel like this is the game where Ollie Gordon II finally gets going consistently, right? Mm-hmm. One of the premier backs in all of college football. And I love their weapons offensively, right? Dazon Stribling, Rashad Owens, and Brennan Presley. Trey Rucker with 2 picks last week. Despite the quarterback troubles, I'm going to go with the more experienced coach here and the older quarterback. I think Bowman got a huge wake-up call last week. I'd like the Cowboys to go in on the road, and I don't want to call it an upset because I guess according to Vegas, it's an upset. 6-point line is a chunky line for 2 teams ranked this closely. Maybe they know something I don't, but no, I'm going to be different here. I think Oklahoma State with Ollie Gordon II, that offensive line is going to take a lot of pressure off Bowman. And, sometimes when you're a young quarterback like Avery Johnson, you can get rattled after a bad start like that. So, yeah, it'll definitely be very, very interesting. And we have a comment. Edwards and Johnson will be a force in a couple of years. Both what? Sophomores?
I know Johnson is. I'm not sure about Edwards, honestly.
Yeah. Not too sure myself, but that's going to be an exciting duo moving forward. So we split Noah on that one. Like to hear it. Next up, this is going to crush me, man. So number 15, Louisville, undefeated at 3-0 at the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, 3-1. Notre Dame is favored by 6.5 points. And no, if it's all right with you, I'm going to go first here on this one, just because I have a lot to say about this. Louisville's coming off a very impressive win in overtime against Georgia Tech. Not in overtime, but coming off an impressive win against Georgia Tech. It was a close game. Tyler Shaw was phenomenal. 8 touchdown passes on the season so far. He's been turnover free. Transfer receiver Ja'Cory Brooks has developed good chemistry. And I think the key to this matchup, right, when you look at what the Irish present, they lost 2 starting O-linemen against Purdue, and it showed in the first half against Miami, Ohio. Miami, Ohio kept it a very close game. It was a 1-score game until late in the second quarter where Notre Dame started to string together some points. And I'm looking at Ashton Gillott. I'm looking at Tramel Logan. Can they exploit a banged-up Notre Dame offensive line? And what's happened to Mitchell Evans, guys? I mean, this tight end was supposed to flourish this year. I don't know if it was the season-ending injury last season that really hurt his development. But when you have a below-average quarterback like Riley Leonard, in my opinion, a tight end is your best friend in this situation, because Leonard has proven more often than not, despite the touchdown pass last week, there was a very good pass to Bo Collins. He cannot consistently throw the football down the field. On the year, 1 touchdown pass to 3 picks, 587 yards. However, I love his legs. 6 rushing touchdowns, over 300 rushing yards. His rushing yards are over what he has half of his passing. So to me, that's a little bit concerning. Jeremiah Love has been a force on the ground this year, filling in for the outgoing bell cow and Audric Estime with over 330 yards and 4 scores. I think he'll have a solid game. Can Bobakar, Traore, and Howard Cross II get to Tyler Shaw? I don't know. There's not enough weapons on this Notre Dame offense. Their O-line is banged up. Louisville has a good pass rush. Not only do I think Louisville covers this 6.5-point spread, I think they went outright. against Notre Dame. Remember, they beat Notre Dame last year.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a lot of revenge, and I hope the Irish pull it out. But after seeing their performance against NIU, Miami, Ohio last week, even though they did win 28-3, I don't know how they could beat another ranked team right now. It feels like that Texas A&M game was so long ago. I just personally know it. I don't see it, but I'm also biased. I love my team. From an outsider perspective, what are your thoughts on this game, and who are you going with?
Well, Notre Dame, you're right, did beat Miami, Ohio 28-3, but to be honest, it was 3-0 in that game for a good bit before Notre Dame kind of started getting it going. I think for this one, quarterback advantage goes to Louisville heavily. I think, Notre Dame's biggest strength offensively is running the ball with Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. But problem with that is Louisville is the 18th best rushing defense in all of college football this year. They've been really good at that. And as you said, they have a good pass rush as well. So I think if Louisville is able to, first of all, I think Louisville has a better offense overall. But second, if Louisville is able to slow down the running game, if they're bringing 8 guys in the box and, they're forcing Riley Leonard to try and beat him with his arm, I don't think it's happening, man. I mean, I thought he was decent at Duke. I think he's looked, it's no nice to say, I think he's looked really bad this year for Notre Dame from the bits I've seen. And I think if Louisville puts on that game plan, try to slow down the run, which they've been good at this season, and forces Notre Dame to beat in the air, I'm going with Louisville in that one to win outright. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I mean, it is, at Notre Dame, but there's just the offense hasn't looked good, man. Give me Louisville 27-17 in this one.
That's brutal. Yeah, I don't know if we give up 27 points defensively, but if we want a score prediction, Noah, I'll give you, I don't know, some weird stuff. 19-17 Louisville. That's what I'm going to go with, but I can totally see that too if the defense doesn't stay on track. Next up, game of the week right here. Hopefully it's game of the year. Georgia at Alabama, laying out 2.5 points right now in favor of the Dogs. I'm not sure if it's dropped to 1.5. I saw some places it was 1.5. Others it was 2.5. Old boy, we'll start with you here. Take us through this game, man. Alabama's been your kryptonite for several years now.
Yeah, they have, man. I mean, night game as well. Now, I will say, I think massive part of the reason that they were our kryptonite is currently on College Game Day right now. So that's something I think could help us. I think Georgia, for the most part, has looked good. I didn't think they looked good against Kentucky. I mean, road SEC game, I get that, but the offense looked very poor. A lot of questionable play calling by Mike Bobo. And even that, the funny thing is, even though the lines have UJ as a favorite, pretty much everyone, or well, not everyone, but the majority of people I've seen talk about this game are usually picking Alabama. And I'm looking at the ESPN matchup predictor right now. It has Alabama 65.5% chance of winning this game. They're at home. I think Milroe's really good. I think the rushing attack is solid. True freshman Ryan Williams, 17 years old. That guy's an animal already. Their defense is mostly look good. They did have that kind of struggle for 3 quarters-ish against USF. But it's a tough one, man. I think it's going to be like a lot of UGA Alabama games. It's going to come down that fourth quarter. Might come down to who has the ball last or who needs, a big defensive stop. Quarterbacks, I think both are good. Beck needs to play way better than he did against Kentucky. But for most of his career, he's done a lot more good than bad. We need to utilize, I think, our running backs a bit better. Get Nate Frazier the ball a bit more. Etienne is good, but I don't think he should be like your bell cow back. I think he should be kind of a change of pace and receiving guy. And we need to get Branson Robinson going as well. He's kind of had a slow start the season because he's been a bit banged up. I think our defense is still really good. They gotta slow down Milroe's legs. That's a big thing. That Milroe always beats teams with his legs, man. It's basically the whole reason that they made the playoff last year when they beat LSU in that game. He scored like 4 rushing touchdowns. But honestly, every time I pick Georgia to beat Alabama, they lose. So just for that reason, I'm gonna pick Alabama to win this game. I think it'll be a tight game. Give me like, I don't know, 21-20.
All right. Noah going with Alabama here.
Hopefully I'm wrong.
Brad saying go Ducks. What up, Brad Mangold?
They're finally getting it together. I think they're looking good recently.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel, transfer quarterback. I think the game against Kentucky is scaring the betters. What do you think about that?
I think it's fair. I think if Georgia had like gone in and killed Kentucky, I think the line definitely could be a lot higher. I am kind of surprised that UJ is still the favorite because, like I said, I think from a lot of what I've seen, people actually have Alabama as favorites in this game. Vegas lines are always tough, man. There's a lot of them, that make sense, but then there's some that you look at and it's just like I don't even know what they're looking at here, and that might be one of them. It will be a good game, unfortunately. I wish it was a blowout, but it's not going to be.
I don't want to blow out. You already know that as a neutral here. I'm not really neutral. Noah's kind of swung me on his side the last couple of years, not just when it comes to Alabama, when it comes to Florida too. And my parents live in Florida, so it's kind of ironic.
There you go.
All seriousness, though, Carson Beck has had a really good season so far. He may have not looked great 2 weeks ago, but let's be real. Nobody on Georgia looked great 2 weeks ago. 6 different Georgia players have caught at least one touchdown pass this season. Dominic Lovett, Arian Smith are really good receivers. Colby Young, too. I mean, you got 2 solid tight ends where you could throw out 12 personnel, Noah, with Lawson Lucky and Oscar Delp. I'm not sure how often you guys run that, though, based off of games that I've watched. If you don't, I think maybe you should run it a little bit more, but Kirby knows what he's doing. Jalen Walker and Raylan Wilson, a guy who has not been mentioned much.
He's a beast.
What do you think of him personally? I think he's going to be a really good pro.
Dude, he's rock solid, man. I mean, he was player of the game against Kentucky. I believe they voted him. Really solid inside linebacker, man. He's got great instincts. He's athletic, pretty fast. Solid tackler as well. Definitely a big fan of him. I also like CJ Allen. I think he's another guy that's underrated because he's, a bit. I think he's just really not well known outside of the UGA circles, but he's solid as well, man.
Get a backbone, Tom, about Florida.
Yeah, my boy Mikey, man, he's a big Gators fan. He's gonna keep ripping you for that every time he's on here, probably.
I do have a soft spot for the Jaguars.
It's funny you mentioned that. Michael Bradley is a Bills fan, so not a good time to mention that either.
Oh, we can't get on the same page.
Yeah, man.
Sorry, Michael. We're trading blows here. Go IU. Thank you, Robert, for the comment. Yeah, Indiana's looked pretty good so far. I believe that's what he's referring to. Go Bills. Yep. Michael, nice Buffalo Bills bar right by my house. Pretty loud last night. Go Pittsburgh Steelers comment. Thank you very much, guys, for the comments. Keep them coming.
I will say I do like Everbank Stadium. Nice stadium.
Yeah. Trevor Bank Stadium or field, whatever they call it, for 1 week. Back to Georgia and Alabama, because I pivoted us off topic there. I think Walker and Wilson need to get to Milroe early and often, get him a little scattered. Milroe has yet to throw a pick this year, and he has 6 rushing touchdowns on top of 8 passing, so he has improved a lot since last year. Trevor Bank. Yes, that is correct.
More like mid-bank recently.
More like mid-bank, exactly. Jam Miller. Maybe he'll jam up that Georgia front. Ryan Williams has been insane this year. 4 touchdowns on just 10 receptions. And Noah, Keon Sabb, I mean, he's a tough corner to go up against. Q Robinson, too, has 3 sacks. I think Georgia really, if they're going to win this game, they need to stop the run, get Bama into 2nd, 3rd, and long, disguise some blitzes, and get Milroe confused. I do still think Georgia has the better quarterback, despite what happened 2 weeks ago, by a slim edge. And correct me if I'm wrong, Georgia has only beaten Alabama once since 2007, right? In the regular season.
I think you're correct, because the only time I can remember it was when we had Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
So,
and that is exactly why I'm picking Georgia. I think they're going to win it. In this game, yeah, somebody posted a comment, I think it was a few minutes ago, about this one. I think the game against Kentucky is scaring the bettors. If you think Georgia's going to win, Michael, lay out the 2.5, 1.5, whatever it is. I think they're the better football team by a hair. Also, the wild card here is Kalen DeBoer. We don't know how he's going to come out as, first-year head coach for Alabama. This guy was coaching in the Pac-12 last year.
Yeah.
He hasn't head coached in the SEC yet. Kirby has the experience factor over him on a big stage like this. Bama came out and struggled against USF a few weeks ago. So we could argue, yeah, Georgia struggled against Kentucky and it was a 1-point game. But let's be real, guys. The Bama USF final score, very deceiving. Very deceiving.
It was like the final 5 minutes they started scoring, but I mean, halfway through the fourth, it's still not decided really.
Bama's home games in the SEC matter.
That's true, but Texas beat them last year on the road, and if Texas could do it last year, I think this team can too.
Absolutely. Let's get to the next game. Why don't we?
Yep.
Number 19, Illinois.
Oh, this is going to be a good one, man.
4-0 at number 9, Penn State. 3-0. I believe Illinois was the team that upset Penn State several years ago. If I'm correct, that was like the 9 overtime game. Penn State favored by 17.5 points. It's a lot of points, Noah.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, Penn State, too, they're confusing because Bowling Green played them close. I don't know.
Yeah. They have a tight one against Bowling Green. I mean, granted, you can say now Bowling Green's done that to 2 teams twice now that were both ranked. But then they have a game where they go out and kill West Virginia. But then we see West Virginia choke completely against Pittsburgh as well. So, like, it's tough to get a read on that as well. And then Illinois has looked really good. That said, this is in Happy Valley. And Penn State, for the most part, I think has looked good. I don't know if I'm still sold on their offense completely and Drew Aller. I think Aller's looked good. I mean, granted, they haven't really played anyone big yet. But, I mean, this season, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception, completing 41 of 58. I mean, that sounds really solid. But this is a big test, man. These 2 defenses, I think it's going to be pure defensive slugfest. Over-under, I'm looking at ESPN bet right now, 47.5. I think it's going to be an under-type game, man. I really do. I don't think this game goes above 40 points. It might even be way lower than that. I think it's just going to be a pure trenches, ugly kind of line of scrimmage, defensive sort of game. Of course, now that I say that, watch these teams go out and just sling the rock all over the place. But just because it's at Happy Valley, I mean, that place is murdered to play unless you're like Ohio State or Michigan pretty much. And Illinois, while they've looked good, they haven't faced a team like this yet. Not even Nebraska. I don't think Nebraska is even close to as good and talented as Penn State. So I'm going to take Penn State to win this one. Give me 20-17.
Close game. So,
Yep.
For the record, it was Illinois who beat Penn State in Happy Valley, 20-18.
What year was that?
3 years ago, 2021.
Okay.
9 overtimes. That was the game where they kept going for like 2-point conversions. Michael says Illinois has a sneaky great defense.
They do.
I'm getting there, Michael. I'm getting there, if that's foreshadowing anything. Look, great gritty win against Nebraska in overtime. They've done it to them. They've beaten Kansas. Their program has really taken a step forward with Brett Bielema returning to the Big Ten. Luke Altmaier has really progressed. He's the best quarterback they've had since Tommy DeVito, in my opinion. Caden Fagan has developed nicely through the early stages of the season. I think, being a little conservative here, we're about a quarter into the season now. I like to say that, even though regular season-wise, we're almost a third of the way in, just about, which I don't like. Pat Bryant, 6 touchdown receptions. Zachary Franklin, too, is a guy that goes very underrated as the Z receiver. Illinois' defense, Xavier Scott, Miles Scott. Those 2 are studs. Xavier with 3 picks, Miles with 2. And then Torrey Cox Jr. is really good in press man coverage. He also has 2 interceptions. I mean, we saw what he did last week against Nebraska, confusing a good quarterback in Dylan Raiola, who some might argue is better than Drew Aller. Dennis Briggs Jr., Gabe Jacobs, Coleman, and Alec Bryant are guys that can really confuse this junior quarterback for Penn State. I think Aller is more prone to mistakes than Altmaier, believe it or not. Last year he only threw 2 interceptions, but I think Aller has overthrown receivers a lot of the time. Nick Singleton is a good running back. He's been there for a few years. Tyler Warren at tight end, filling in the shoes left by Theo Johnson, who left for the NFL. He's good on those intermediate patterns, cross patterns. And then I'm looking to see who can make big plays down the field late against these Illinois corners, right? You got Amari Evans and you got Harrison Wallace. I think that's where the game is won, right? Can Penn State make enough plays late against this Illinois defense? The Nittany Lions, their defense is not that great. They only have 4 sacks on the season through 3 games. 17.5 points is very deceiving. And so is this show. Illinois wins outright.
That's a big call there. Let's see if you live to regret it or you look like a genius.
That's why we love the shows. We can speak freely on here. I believe we went different on 3 of the 4 games now, which is kind of crazy.
I think so, yeah.
But this last game, I don't know, man. I don't know if we're going if we go differently here, I think there's a serious problem.
I think this one is easy, personally. I don't know about you, Tom. Arizona looks terrible. I mean, they give up 39 to New Mexico. They beat a FCS team by 12, and then they got killed by Kansas State. Whereas Utah, even with the quarterback issues and they can't really pass the ball, they're rushing for over 200 yards per game, and their defense is amazing. Whereas the Arizona defense, Tom, this season giving up 353 yards per game. And like I just said, it's not, they played Kansas State. The other 2 teams they played, I can't believe they gave up so much New Mexico. I watched pretty much, 75% of that game, man, and it was close for a good bit, but McMillan decided to basically put the team on his back like Greg Jennings, took the game over. That's basically why they won it. I don't even think this one is close, man. I think 12.5 honestly might be generous, especially at Utah, man. I'm giving Utah to win in this one, 28-13.
It's a really tough place to play. I mean, we saw Utah last week. They went on the road. Isaac Wilson, let me tell you something about this guy. Yes, he is Zach Wilson's younger brother. Yes, he's looked shaky. He has managed the last 2 weeks wonderfully, in my opinion. Don't let the interceptions fool you. He's made mistakes. And yes, he's been bailed out by his defense at times. But each time, after he threw a pick, he brought back with a good drive right after it. He doesn't let much phase him, Noah. And I think when you have a running back like a Micah Bernard, things could really fall into place for you. We don't know if he's going to start or if it's going to be Cam Rising. Everybody thought Cam Rising was starting last week until the 11th hour. Van Fillinger is really good off the edge. Fifita has not impressed me so far this season. I don't know about you, Noah. I was really high on him going into this season. It's been a bit of a disappointment, but I'm wondering if this bye week is going to help the Wildcats this week. They're on the road against the number 10 team, though. I just want to see, can they look better, right? Quali Conley's got to get going in the backfield. They arguably have the number 1 receiver in all of the CFB in Tretora McMillan, Noah. I mean, he has been a phenomenal player to watch. Do you think he's the best receiver in all of college football?
Yes, I do. I think there's a lot of really good ones, but the fact, what I saw against New Mexico, he had over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's what he can do when that offense is going. They haven't gotten going lately, but when they're on, I do think he's the best. I think Luther Burden is right there, and I think there's a lot of younger, promising guys that are up and coming, but right now I'd say he's the best. And as for Mikey's question here, I did just look it up on ESPN. So they have 111 pass attempts this season and 169 rush attempts, which, funny enough, averages out to 280 plays, and in 4 games, 70 plays per game. So there you go, Mikey.
All things considered, picking the Mormons here. Look, Utah, yeah, grind them out type of team. They win ugly. They win well. This week, I think they're going to win well. I really do, regardless of who's playing at quarterback. They've proven that they could win if it's Rising or if it's, Isaac Wilson under center. So I like them this week to survive against Arizona. I'm going to be a little bit more generous. Give me a 13, 14-point win. The spread is 12.5. I think that's just about right. I think they just cover it because Arizona's offense is very explosive. They can hit one over you at any time of the game. The talent of Fifita is still there. I still believe in him, but not to win against Utah this week.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was the first and only home team I took this week as well.
Man, I took a lot of home cooking this week. I think I have a tendency to do that with college, though, honestly.
Absolutely. And that'll segue into our next part of the show now, where we bring up our good buddy, J2 Shifty, Jason Edmondson, who is muted at the moment, looking fresh. Jason, right off of school football today. Jason, nice shirt. We got the W. How are you feeling?
Feeling great. Like what I saw from a lot of people on the team on Sunday. How y'all doing though?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Great. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this pigskin. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
man.
Let's chop some wood. First and foremost, buy or sell. And what this segment is we're going to come up with two polarizing topics in the NFL right now, two that I think are worthy of being discussed this week, and we'll all say if we buy or sell the topic. And first and foremost, so I don't know about you guys. I did not expect the Seattle Seahawks to start the season 3-0, maybe based off of who they were playing against, but they've also looked pretty decent doing it. Their defense has been phenomenal. And who did they bring in as their next head coach? Former Ravens defensive coordinator, Mike Macdonald, who a lot of people think is the way too early. I know I put early, but we're 3 weeks into the season, guys. Mike Macdonald is your early coach of the year candidate. He is a top 3 coach of the year candidate, in my opinion. Are we buying or are we selling that? Noah, we'll start with you.
So is it buy or sell that he's a top guy or like your number one?
Well, first off, let's start off. I mean, we could say top guy because I've got 3 right now. He is my number 1. So do you have him in your top 3 at the moment?
I do. I do have him in my top 3 right now. So just looking at the undefeated teams, I don't have Andy Reid up there because I know the Chiefs are 3-0, but honestly, they've had a lot of really tight wins that could have gone either way pretty much. And the Bills have been amazing. So, I mean, I think you could say McDermott, but I'm kind of looking at as more of, a coach that's doing more with less, whereas I think the Bills have a phenomenal team, and they're kind of starting to put it together there. My top 3, in order, number 3, I have Mike McDaniel. Number 2, I have Kevin O'Connell. And number 1, I have Mike Tomlin. I mean, what Mike Tomlin has done with Justin Fields so far, he's taking care of the ball. They're running the football well. Defense looks insane. I mean, I know Justin Herbert wasn't 100%, but I mean, they basically shut down a very potent Chargers offense. Did I say McDaniel? My bad, Mike Macdonald. But yeah, I think those 3 are honestly very close. I'm giving an edge to Mike Tomlin, though. I've been really impressed with how he's – I mean, the offense hasn't obviously been lighting it up, but, they've been taking care of the rock. They've been, time of possession, running the football. Justin Fields looked really good in week 3 as well. He was just kind of, game managing the first 2 weeks. The last one, I was actually really, really impressed with what he was doing. I think you could say Kevin O'Connell as well, but I think that team – is a little better. Like, I think their roster is really good. The main question was just what are they going to do at quarterback? and Sam Darnold has been really good, but I don't know if that's going to last the whole season. It's kind of hard to say, really. So yeah, I do think a Mike is my number one candidate, but I'm going with Tomlin.
So Jason, just to kind of elaborate off the question, because I'm not sure if I made it super clear with Noah there. That's my bad. So is McDonald an early coach of the year candidate for you, and who would you throw up there as number one?
So I actually had a guy on here similar to Noah. For me, Mike McDonald is, I feel like he's definitely a early coach of the year candidate. What he's done with this Seattle defense, especially considering the opponents they had, I mean, they just look good. They look better than they have in a minute. He's definitely my top three, not my number one. My number one actually is also Mike Tomlin. He does this every year, and then we just act surprised. Like, he takes this mediocre to bottom tier QB or whatever the case may be. But the defense is still great. So that's where I'll give Mike Tomlin the edge. But he always finds a way to win. That's what I like about Mike Tomlin. You know what I'm saying? The team could be falling apart and he'll still find a way to have them in like that mid-tier wild card spot or like just barely miss the playoff spot. So he's my number one. Number two, I've been not too much, but I've been kind of impressed with what is the I forget his name all the time.
What team?
Oh my God, it was in my head. It was just in my head.
McDermott?
No. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Do you know the conference?
The Jets coach. The ball
Saleh?
coach.
Robert Saleh.
Robert Saleh. Right. So sorry. Yeah, I've been impressed with what he did. Obviously, it helps with adding Rodgers to the roster. It helps a lot, but I feel like in terms of a team, like what they did against what they did against San Francisco, like it was week one against San Francisco wasn't a bad game for me. Like I think it was a well coached game. They just weren't the more talented team, if you ask me. Week two, they had who'd they have week two?
Tennessee.
They had Tennessee.
Oh,
I
wait,
think that was
that Sunday. Oh no,
No,
they had
they-
Tennessee. You're right. In New England.
I think that was a great game for them. And this most previous game they had, I think, was their best game of the season so far. And I think Robert Saleh is going to turn his team around from what they used to be. And I think this is the year they sneak into the playoffs, or not sneak in, but convincingly make the playoffs. And number three, I have Mike McDonald. He's a young coach, transformed the Seattle defense. I feel like 3-0, nobody saw that coming, so they definitely blown a lot of our expectations out the water. And I think they're also another team I can see like surprisingly being a dark horse in the NFC.
Sorry, Tom, can I just throw in one, not really like a top three, but just like a dark horse guy I just thought of?
You may.
Matt LaFleur, what he's done with Malik Willis the past 2 weeks, man. Malik Willis has been killing it. People kind of thought that Jordan Love injury might be a nail in the coffin for them that early in the season, but Malik Willis is holding it down until Jordan Love gets back, man.
Yeah. I considered him. Also, shout out Jacob Winters saying Bo Nix, go Broncos.
Played well.
Yeah, that he has. Last week at least.
Mm-hmm.
Also, very fun guy to watch in interviews. He's very blunt and to the point. He doesn't hide anything, and he can get away with that in Denver, it seems. So the reason why I threw this in there, I like McDonald as my number one because the other two coaches I have in my top three, and spoiler alert, it's Tomlin and O'Connell. I didn't expect them to be bad. I expected the Seahawks to be bad. I always thought their defense was above average, but their offensive line, they've really focused on the receiver position over the past several years, and I think that's the wrong way to build your team. which is why I haven't been too sold on them heading into this season. So, yeah, I'm going to go McDonald as number one. I think he's done a really good job. I think he's proved a lot of people wrong. Now, can you beat teams outside of the Patriots, the Broncos? That's going to be the next question for them. And I forget the third team that they beat. Was it actually Carolina, the third team? I think it might have been. So in that regard, you're looking at 3 bad teams that they beat. But again, a win is a win. They're 3-0. Not many other teams can say that. So, and Michael does not like the Robert Saleh pick, Jason.
He is a Bills fan. I will add that.
Oh, there you go. That's right. Notes being taken. Okay. Next up, Bryce Young. Is he done as the Panthers quarterback in 2024 and moving forward, but most notably this season? Bryce Young will not start again for the Panthers this season. Are you buying that or are you selling? Jason, you could go first here.
Definitely a buy for me. If I'm being honest, he doesn't look like the guy yet. Like, we're talking about, you drafted him with the number 1 pick last year, and this is the guy that should be leading your franchise to success. And he's just not at that level yet, if I'm being honest. Andy Dalton stepped in and looked like he hasn't skipped a beat. So what he's doing with the offense right now, I feel like this is just a good learning experience for Bryce Young. You just have to take a back seat and just be a rookie. Get coached up by your veteran QB. Let him lead the team in the right direction. And a lot of the good QBs we've seen over the last good stretch of the NFL, leading into the modern era, we've seen Mahomes backed up Alex Smith. Jordan Love backed up Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers backed up Brett Favre. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be biased, but Daniel Jones backed up Eli Manning. I know he's not great, but but that's the trend we're seeing nowadays. A lot of these younger guys, they just take the step back their first year or two, and then they come back way better. And I feel like that's what he needs to do. Even if he was taking number 1, yeah, looking at it in retrospect, it was the wrong pick, but you live and you learn.
So Jason's buying it. Noah, are you buying it?
I think I'm going to sell it because I think, honestly, we've seen this story with Andy Dalton before, to where really his last few years in Cincy, and especially since he's bounced around with teams like Dallas, the Bears, and the Saints since, he'll have really good games like this. And then he'll have other games where he throws, 2 interceptions, barely, is lucky to get past 200 yards passing and whatnot. Look, I know they played well. They played really well against the Raiders. The Raiders are not a good team. I mean, I think it was honestly a one-off for me. He looked amazing, don't get me wrong. But that team does have issues. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Bryce Young did play terrible. He did. But I think there's a lot more there than just the quarterback. Their defense stinks. Their offensive line, they've had a few good games, especially, metric-wise. But I want to see them do it more. I mean, it's only 3 games in, and they were horrible last year. Running game, not sold on that really either. They traded away Bryce Young's 2 best targets he could have had. Well, first of all, they traded away DJ Moore to get the pick, to get him in the first place. Then obviously CMC went to the 49ers. Middle of 2022? I honestly can't remember when that trade was, or was it last year?
22.
Okay, so those are 2. There's no playmakers on that team, and also you have to factor in injury. If Andy Dalton gets injured, I mean, Bryce Young is going back in. The only way I don't see him going back in is if this is like a concerted thing to where they just made a decision. This team is so bad, and this guy is struggling so bad, he's shot mentally, that we don't want to play him the rest of the year because he's our number 1 pick, and we still want to try to get something out of him. But I don't think that's the case. I think Canales did this because he thinks Andy Dalton right now gives him the best chance to win. And maybe that is true, but I think Andy Dalton is due for some point at one of those games where he throws 2 or 3 picks or something, and the quarterback controversy is right back again. I don't have enough faith in Andy Dalton to keep the job the entire year.
I mean, we've seen this more often than not with backup quarterbacks. Andy Dalton's a veteran, 36 years old. He's been in the league for several years now. He started over 10 years with the Cincinnati Bengals. He's not a bad football player. For me, I'm also going to sell this one. So, look, the issue is deeper than Bryce Young. It's the Carolina Panthers shit show organization, starting with Dave Tepper. I'm talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
This is an issue that stemmed from years ago since he took over. You could argue Dave Gettleman ran this team into the ground before taking over for the Giants. We saw a similar thing happen. So when I look at the Carolina Panthers, look at the previous quarterbacks that played for them over the past 5 years: Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Cam Newton. But I want to hone in on Baker and Sam. Look at them now.
Playing really well.
Tampa Bay, Sam Darnold, Minnesota, and last year San Francisco to back up Brock Purdy. If you are going to succeed as a quarterback in Carolina, it has to be a situation where you develop your reputation somewhere else, sort of like the Jets. I hate to say it, but the Panthers and Jets are quarterback killer organizations. It's been that way for a very, very long time. The Panthers don't have a grooming system. That's why they hired Dave Canales, to try to do his best in helping this young quarterback who, quite frankly, he didn't inherit. So that's why he benched him after 2 weeks. He's got no ties to the guy. Mm-hmm. It's not his problem. It really isn't that he's not performing. So in hindsight, the issue is not totally on Bryce Young. Obviously, it looks bad in the short term after seeing what Dalton did last week, but now the Panthers have a higher challenge than this. Adam Thielen heads to IR. He's not going to play for the next 4 weeks. You're looking at Deontay Johnson and Xavier Leggett as your 2 top options at wide receiver. So, yeah, I'm selling this one. I think we're going to see Bryce Young back in there. You both have brought up good points. I don't think he's good at all. I think he's undersized, but you got to play him. If he'll succeed in the NFL, it won't be with Carolina. It just won't be. I mean, look at Sam Darnold. Also played for the Jets, by the way. Also played for the Jets. And what does he do? He sits behind Brock Purdy for a year, who was developed in the 49ers system, has looked like a top 10 quarterback at times. He's been to a Super Bowl. He won an NFC championship game and lost one. Darnold sat behind that for a year, got that whole playbook and everything, takes it with him to Minnesota, and is looking like this. I mean, this further, I think, supports the argument, guys, that the issue is deeper than Bryce Young. DJ Moore got traded away too, the Carolina trade, and Carolina traded up for Bryce Young, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. That's when they traded away DJ Moore, man. Yeah, it's been rough, and he has had he started less than 20 games. He's had 3 head coaches. He had Frank Reich, he had the interim, and now Canales as well. I mean, there's just no stability there.
It's terrible. It really is sad, but it's not sad if you're a Falcons fan because it's an incompetent team in your division you don't have to worry about.
Yep,
so
there you go.
We're actually going to stick right with the NFC South, Noah.
Oh, no.
To our picks of the week. The Falcons are 1-2. The Saints are 2-1. So, Noah, the good news for you is that everyone in the division lost last week outside of Carolina, who obviously is not a threat. So, talk to me. Do the Falcons get back on track this week? Their 2 losses are both at home.
And they're both really close to 2 teams that are 3-0 right now is the frustrating thing. This is a tight game. I mean, 90% of games this rivalry, they're going to go down to the 4th quarter. They're going to go down the last couple drives. It's basically whoever wins the 4th quarter wins the game in like 90% of these games. I know they killed us last year, but that really doesn't happen very often. Once every few years, maybe it'll happen. But most of the time, it's, tight, one possession type games. Quarterback wise, Kirk. I think Derek Carr. He looked amazing the last 2 weeks. Obviously, the offense took a step back against a solid Eagles team last week. Devontae Smith injured. I don't even know why I mentioned that because the Saints injured him, but they're a hard hitting defense. Whereas the Falcons defense is, I think their secondary is really good. Their pass rush still isn't good though. They had the lowest pressure rate in the NFL, man. Judon has been good. Grady Jarrett makes a play every now and then. Everyone else just does nothing pretty much. I mean, you can just sit back there and do pretty much whatever you want. But you need to be able to stop the Saints because if AK gets going, like he did the first 2 games, that opens up the play action. And then they got guys like Shaheed, who's a freaking speed demon. You obviously got Olave, who's a really solid, rock solid number 1. You got underrated tight end core as well. Their defense is good. Their defense isn't the reason they lost that game. I mean, I know Dallas killed them, but I mean, you give up only 15 points to the Eagles. You'd expect to win a game like that. I have more faith in the Saints defense currently. I think the Falcons have good players on defense, but they're not really showing it at the moment, especially up front. Offensively, Saints looked brilliant the first 2 weeks. They did not look good in week 3. I think the Falcons offensively, outside of like the second half against Philly, I think they've looked pretty mid. They started off well against KC, but then they lost the game because the last 5 minutes it was some of the worst coaching I've ever seen in my life. I mean, you cannot run. You're back. 2 of your linemen get injured. Your center is out. Drew Dahlman's on IR as well. But in fairness, the Saints might be missing Eric McCoy and Cesar Ruiz as well. But Drew Dahlman is out. You can't run the ball up the middle because the backup center, I mean, there's no easy way to say it. He's not good at all. You keep running inside dives most of the second half of the game. None of it works. On the last drive of the game, Tom, they're trying to drive. They get down, pretty deep. Raheem Morris starts calling timeouts when they should be trying to kill the clock and score with 5 seconds left. He calls timeouts. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered anyway because they screwed it up. I mean, 4th down play call was horrific. You can't block it all the second half. So what do? You run the longest developing outside dive play possible, which Nick Bolton just shuts down instantly. I mean, it's complete total. I mean, there's no nice. It was complete total shit show the last 5 minutes, pretty much. But and I don't even want to mention the refs. I mean, I thought the refs were terrible, but that's no excuse. I think they should have won the game anyway. Oh, another thing I mentioned: 4th and 5, next to last drive. Instead of kicking a field goal to make it a 2-point game, you only would have needed a field goal in the last drive to win it. What do? They go for it and they fail. So yeah. I need to see a lot more from Zach Robinson in this game, man. I thought that was a big pickup for them. Kind of like Clint Kubiak for the Saints. He hasn't really shown it to me so far, though. So, I mean, I know it's in Atlanta. Let's be honest. Atlanta does not have a home field advantage. They have the most fair weather fan base I've ever seen in my life. I mean, week 1 against the Steelers was basically a Steelers home game. So,
oh my God.
I'm sorry, man. I love this team to death, but I got to be honest. I mean, I guess I'll go with the Saints just because. Funny enough, in this rivalry, it always seems like the home team loses, like more often than not. Like we usually win in New Orleans, and they usually win in Atlanta. So give me the Saints to win this one. Score like I don't know, like 24-23, something like that. Low to mid 20s for both.
All right, Jason, you're up here. NFC South battle. Who's taking it?
So I was really listening to what Noah said because he is a diehard fan, but I don't know, like something about this matchup, like it doesn't. So what I'm thinking about is the Falcons beat the Eagles, and the Eagles beat the Saints. So in my head, I'm trying to think, all right, like how did they match up? Where were the problems for each team? And let me just throw this out there, I think like. In all of his matchups so far, Kirk Cousins was the dominating quarterback, like by far. I think he was just the better player on the other side of the field. So the offense is definitely not the problem. What I want to see for this game is if the Saints, I honestly feel like they have a good shot at winning. If you force Derek Carr to throw the ball, not saying Derek Carr is a bad QB, but if you force him to look for other options besides Kamara, I feel like the Falcons is where you have guys like Jesse Bates and AJ Terrell step up and show who they are. I'm actually gonna go with the Falcons. I mean, it's a home game for them, which, like Noah said, really doesn't mean anything. But um, I honestly like them in this matchup. Like I said, I think Kirk Cousins is the better quarterback, which is always going to be the advantage for me. I think the secondary is pretty evenly matched. I'm not gonna lie, but I think I have more trust in the Falcons secondary covering the Saints receivers than I do in the Saints secondary covering the Falcons receivers. And the tight end Kyle Pitts, who moves like a receiver, gets down the field like a receiver, and pretty decent blocking. And obviously Bijan Robinson, one of the most dynamic running backs we've seen in a minute. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Falcons on this one. I actually think they could come away with this. I think it's gonna be an offensive battle. So let me go 24-21. I say the Falcons win on a field goal.
Man, I will say, sorry, I just want to jump in before Tom. I hope you're right, Jason, but I got to be in all the shows I've been on with you. I feel like every time you pick the Falcons to win, they lose. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see.
I think they got a genuine shot. They don't look bad. I think they should have won the KC game, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, they have a shot. It's just, I mean, we'll see.
Look at this, Noah. What do you think?
I hope so, man. I don't know. Like, I think it comes down to Kirk. Kirk still does not look 100%. I mean, that Achilles, he suffered it like 2 months after Aaron Rodgers did. And, Aaron Rodgers didn't start the season off on fire. He took him into kind of week 3 to kind of get it going. So I think, it depends on Kirk as well, because the healthier he gets, I think it opens up our offense. We've been running a lot of pistol formation because, they don't want to use any play action or rollouts. I think Kirk is good. I think if they're both healthy, I would definitely take Kirk over Derek Carr. But Derek Carr has looked really good this season, and Kirk is kind of, obviously not 100%. So I hope so. I don't know, though, because I think the Saints defense is solid.
Another thing I just want to throw in real quick. The Falcons do have this reputation of, like, their rep for the past few years, if I'm being honest, it wasn't the best. But just look at the teams that they're competing with. The Super Bowl champions, the Eagles, were in the Super Bowl a minute ago, and the Falcons are right there in the game with them. I honestly think, like, they're one of those teams we don't see it yet, but, like, rather than looking at it as they could win this game, we're going to start looking at them as they should win this game. I think they're that good of a team. They just got to figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look, the Falcons are the best team in this division. It's close between them and Tampa. I think the Saints were a feel-good story for the first 2 weeks, but I think they're crashing back down to reality here. Zach, to answer this question, look, I think Kirk is getting a lot more comfortable with Darnell Mooney out there. They've developed some good chemistry the first few weeks. We're finally seeing Kyle Pitts get the football. I would like to see them use Bijan a little more, but Noah could probably tell you why. Based off the way the games have gone the last several weeks, the Falcons have had to throw the football in some key situations. And I think you're looking at Drake London and Darnell Mooney as two studs, and Ray McLeod, if he's still available on waivers, you should stay up till 4 a.m. and decide why not to grab him on your waiver wire. But in all seriousness, Zach, I think the Falcons are in a really good spot heading into this game this week. For me, it's something that Noah mentioned before. Caleb McGarry and Drew Dahlman are both down with injuries, right? Mm-hmm. Can the Saints exploit that? Brian Bresee, DT, for the Saints, 3 sacks on the season already. I'm also looking at Carl Granderson, Alante Taylor possibly being matched up against Drake London. So I think if you're going to fade a receiver this week for the Falcons, it's Drake London, because I just think you're going to see a lot of Pitts and Mooney over the middle of the field. At least that's my opinion. I like Atlanta to win the game by a field goal. I think Carr plays better, but I think Cousins really is starting to get this team in the right direction. Next up, we go from the south to the north. The Minnesota Vikings are 3-0. And the Green Bay Packers are 2-1. Two good backup quarterbacks with two feel-good stories. I can't really call Sam a backup anymore. He's the starter for the whole season, guys. Green Bay's favored by 2.5. Jason, who is winning this game? Do the Packers? I mean, somehow they're favored in this game because they're home, but do the Vikings find a way to get to 4-0?
They definitely do, because actually, let me change my mind, because last week I said something when they played the Texans. I said 99% of me wants to pick the Texans, but 1% of me is going to choose the Vikings because of two words: Justin Jefferson. And they ended up winning the game. Now, this is a division rival matchup. We know how this game gets every year. It's very gritty. It's very physical. There's a lot of back and forth between Justin Jefferson and Jair Alexander. So that's definitely going to play a factor. And in the last matchup, they had Jair Alexander completely shut him down. And if he looks like anything like he did in that last face-off between these two, I'm going to go with the Packers, but I think Justin Jefferson is on just a whole nother level. Like, I really think he's that good. I'm like, in terms of quarterback play, Sam Darnold has been lights out, and I think the Packers defense it's been all right. Like, it's nothing like to be scared of. So Sam Darnold, he could probably get other guys involved. I'm not sure how their receiver health is right now. I think Addison is questionable. I'm not sure.
He'll play though.
Yeah, he'll probably play. I'm not sure like how often Aaron Jones' number is being called. I know he's been he's been a part of the offense, but he doesn't look like anything he'd look like back when he was with Green Bay. Like he kind of looks like he took a decline a little bit. I don't know if that's just because of the system that they're in, but he doesn't look like his old self. It's gonna be a really close game for me. Malik Willis starting. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Vikings. Give me the Vikings. I'll go 25, 20.
Okay.
Well, I will say this is one, Robbie, it seems I never pick the right damn team. It's that and Steelers Ravens, and I don't always pick the same team, but it seems like every time I pick one team, the other team wins. That said, I ain't making the mistake I did last week, man. I ain't picking against the Vikings after what I saw against the Texans, man. I think really good football team. Malik Willis has looked good, but again, I mean, he's an unproven like Sam Darnold. You know, I saw a comment actually from Zach, about Sam Darnold hitting that wall. Could Malik Willis hit a wall as well? Because this is his third game starting, and this Packers defense ain't playing the Colts and Titans again. Two offenses that look, for the most part, completely dysfunctional. This Vikings team can move the ball. Aaron Jones' revenge game as well. He's averaging over 5 yards per carry this season, outperforming, by the way, Josh Jacobs. The only reason Josh Jacobs has more yards this season is because he has way more carries. Aaron Jones looking really good. Justin Jefferson is the man. And by the way, even if Addison isn't 100%, Jalen Naylor has stepped up, man. He's looking like a really solid option for them in the passing game as well. And obviously the defense, I mean, that front four for the Vikings. I mean, poor CJ Stroud, man. He just had no chance back there all game pretty much. Daniil Hunter was wreaking havoc up there. Give me the Vikings, man. And honestly, if it was in Minnesota, I'd say it's probably not even close. I think the Vikings are a way better team. But because it is at Lambeau, give me the Vikings to win it 24-17.
Okay. Yeah, so Jordan Love still has not been ruled out for this week yet. He's doing everything in his power to play. Adam, he's not going to play. This is just the media doing the media thing. He's not going to play. They want to keep it up in the air. Malik Willis is starting on Sunday. So with that being said, I think Willis is going to have a hard time reading this Minnesota pass rush. I think that front four is going to give them everything they can handle. And it's more than just that. Their depth is insane, guys. You're looking at Andrew Van Ginkel, Jonathan Grenard, Harrison Phillips, first-round edge rusher Dallas Turner. Yeah, they're really, really stacked up front. How about Pat Jones with 4 sacks as well? They have 4 starting edge rushers on their roster. Like, that's insane. That's not heard of. Aaron Jones has been an excellent addition. He can run the ball well. He can catch passes. It really helps Sam Darnold have a veteran running back that knows what he's doing. Opponents are averaging just 10 points per game against that Minnesota Vikings defense and only 71 rushing yards. So only giving up 71 rushing yards through the first 3 weeks, that's a problem because the Giants had a good offensive line. They couldn't run the football, right? I mean, you're looking at the San Francisco 49ers. Couldn't run the football. Again, no Christian McCaffrey, but the Niners are one of the best rushing teams in the NFL. Malik Willis is going to have to do this himself, and he's just not going to be able to, unfortunately. For Green Bay defensively, though, they can keep this a close game. Devontae Wyatt, UGA guy, has really impressed me this season. 3 sacks and 5 tackles for loss, tied for the NFL lead in sacks at the interior defensive line position through 3 weeks with Dexter Lawrence. Just want to throw that out there. Former Giant, Xavier McKinney.
Oh, he's been a beast.
3 interceptions. He's had 1 interception in each of his first 3 games as a Packer. I miss him so much. Jair Alexander has 2 picks as well. The Vikings are winning this game for 2 reasons. 1, Aaron Jones, the former Packer, he knows exactly how to attack that defense. Reason number 2, that pass rush is going to get to Malik Willis because that offensive line is not going to be able to give him time to make accurate throws. I don't think many quarterbacks would succeed going against the Vikings pass rush right now. Look what they did to Daniel Jones in week 1. You think Malik Willis is going to fare any better than that? Probably not. Minnesota wins by 6. Final score, I'm going to go 22-16. We have a question here. How much longer until we see Sam Darnold hit a wall? Or could this be the start of his prime season? Well, it is tough to say because this is his first season starting in years, right?
And he's never looked like this at all.
No.
So, I don't know, man. It's tough.
I mean, if that O-line keeps looking good, I mean, look what happened with Brock Purdy. I'm just saying, if you throw Brock Purdy on the Panthers, he's a bottom 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's, it's one of those situations where you got to take what you can get. Darnold got the job with the Vikings. Unfortunately, bad circumstances, has taken full-flown advantage of it. All right, 3-0 for the Vikings. That means hammer the Packers, folks.
That's how it usually goes.
Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm so excited to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. They're 2-1, but they should really be 1-2. Jason and I are not happy about that. Saquon Barkley, I believe, was named NFC Offensive Player of the Week, if I'm not mistaken. He has 5 touchdowns on the year already, 4 rushing, 1 receiving. However, Jalen Hurts leads the NFL in turnovers through 3 weeks this season. Jason, why do you not like Jalen Hurts as a quarterback? And who do you have in this game?
It's pretty simple, honestly. I don't like Jalen Hurts as a quarterback because everybody gasses up his resume when really, if you look at it, he has the most rushing touchdown, blah, blah, blah. From 5 yards and in. Not impressive. He not gets carried, but he gets a big, big boost from his offensive line, who is consistently top 3 to 5 every single year. He has a when healthy, top 3 receiving core. I mean, his defense, like just the pieces put around him, is he literally can't fail, and he still did last year, and he was the reason for that failure against the very team he's about to play against right now. As a passer, Jalen Hurts barely cracks the top 15, if that. Don't get me wrong. Like, people see, this is where people get it like misconstrued. He's a great athlete. I'm not saying like he's a great athlete. He's not a great quarterback. A quarterback is a person that is gonna drive the ball down the field. Like, he's not that for me. I just don't see it. If you want my honest opinion, he's not even the best he's not even a top 2 quarterback in his division. He's not. Sorry. If there's any Eagles fans out there, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but that's just how it is. I have the Buccaneers in this game. With that being said, what is this, a rematch from last year's wild card, or was that the divisional? Last year's wild card, right?
Wild card, yep.
I think the final score was like 31-9 or something.
They got killed, yeah.
And I think last year they had the better roster, if I'm not mistaken. They lost Kelsey. They lost did they lose Hassan Reddick?
Yeah, because he's holding out for the Jets.
On the Jets. If there was a time for like, they just have like this all-star roster, and then Jalen Hurts takes all the credit when they win. I don't like it. I want the Buccaneers to annihilate them this game. I'm gonna go blatantly unrealistic with this game, but I hope this is what the final result is. Baker Mayfield, by the way, I think has kind of hit a revive button on his career. He's slowly entering like into my top quarterbacks because just of what he's done, and just like kind of the way he was just thrown into a system he didn't know, took them one game away from the NFC Championship. And then he's back this season. He still looks good. Now same could be said for Baker. He does have some pretty complimentary receivers and Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. But the difference between Baker Mayfield and Jalen Hurts is Baker Mayfield, he makes it easy for his receivers. You know what I'm saying? He has pretty good ball placement, and he's a good leader. I feel like he gets his team ramped up when they need to be. Yeah, give me the Buccaneers in this one. I feel like this is kind of gonna be similar to that Atlanta game, because I think Kirk was flawless in that second half. He just picked that secondary apart, if I'm being honest with you. And I think Baker is capable of doing the same thing. They're at home. Tampa Bay has a pretty good fan base, and they want to do them even worse than they did last year. So, give me Tampa Bay. I'm gonna go unrealistic here. Give me Tampa Bay 28-14.
You know, if you asked me this 2 days ago, I was probably going to pick the Eagles. But honestly, the more I think about it, I think I'm going to pick the Bucs, just because the Eagles have banged up offense, man. I mean, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, both questionable for this game, and Devontae got killed in the Saints game. But in my opinion, the Eagles' most important offensive player as well is injured, and that's Lane Johnson at right tackle. In my opinion, when he's healthy, he's top 3 easy right tackle, and he's not going to be 100% either. And Jalen Hurts has struggled, man. 3 touchdown passes this season to 4 interceptions. The defense looked good against the Saints, but they've also shown they can have a meltdown like they did against the Falcons. And the Bucs are a team that, statistically, if you look at them, they don't look that impressive. They're 23rd in pass yards this season per game and 27th in rushing yards. But I don't think it tells the whole story, because the past 2 weeks, man, this Bucky Irving out of Oregon has gotten it going. Baker Mayfield completing 75% of his passes. I think they just had, one of those games against the Broncos where just absolutely nothing went right. I mean, it happens. Like, I don't think it's a trend or anything. I think they have a good team. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, one of the best 1-2 punches at wide receiver in all of football. And defensively, they give up a ton of yards. They're like bottom 10, I think, in pretty much every category. But what they do is they bend, but they don't break. That's basically the only reason they won the Lions game, because they gave up almost 500 yards, those guys, but they can force turnovers. They can hold you to 3. And their biggest weakness, in my opinion, is their pass defense. But like we've said, Jalen Hurts does not look good throwing the ball this season. So, and they're at home, which, it's not like you're going to an incredible home field advantage, but it's decent at Raymond James Stadium. They got a big fan base. So, give me the Bucs to win this game. I think it might be a bit more of a defensive game than people expect, but because of all the Eagles' injuries, I got to lean towards the Bucs slightly. 21-17.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems right now with Philadelphia. I mean, it starts up top. Nick Sirianni, the play calling has not been great with Kellen Moore as offensive coordinator. If the Eagles are going to win this football game, they have to rely on the rushing duo of Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, and that'll become more complicated this week without potentially without Lane Johnson. He suffered an injury in their Week 3 game against the Saints. Devontae Smith also, unfortunately, got smashed. Helmet to no helmet contact on the ground. He's in the concussion protocol. He suffered a concussion, and they already don't have A.J. Brown. They don't know when he's coming back. So right now you're looking at Jahan Dotson as wide receiver 1, guys. That's not good. A lot of Saquon, a lot of Dallas Goedert. If you have Saquon this week, start him. Now, look, the Bucs are coming off a 26-7 loss to the Broncos. Let's not be silly. That's bad. But I think it was a fluke. The Broncos just got off to a really hot start. And I don't think Baker played bad. I just think overall the Bucs defense, like Noah and Jason, you both mentioned earlier, they've been giving up a lot of points, and that's been a problem for them. Bucky Irving, Todd Bowles said this, Irving will get more carries going forward. So if Bucky Irving is somehow still available in your fantasy league, please go sign him. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, really good receivers. The secondary for Tampa is very good, though. I will say that. They have 0 pass rush, but their secondary is extremely good, highlighted by Antoine Winfield Jr. And Zach, to answer your question, if Baker can find his targets, I can definitely see them outscoring the Eagles. Let's break this down simplified. Healthier team. Better quarterback through the first 3 weeks. Let's make that clear. The better wide receiver duo. I'm going Tampa Bay. Final score, I'm going to go 23-20 Bucs. So again, another sweep for the Bucs, hammer the Eagles. So that'll bring us to our next game. All right, 3 more fellas. Chiefs at the Chargers with Justin Herbert's availability hanging in the balance for this week. They don't know if he's going to play. Major red flag. I think we're up to you, Noah. We'll start with you on this one. Who's winning this game? Do the Chiefs go to 4-0? Because I'll be honest with you, if Justin Herbert's playing, there's a conversation to be had about this game.
I don't know. I honestly don't think Justin Herbert's 100%. I personally don't think they should have played him against the Steelers. He did not look right at all that game, and he got injured again in that game. He had to leave, and Taylor Heinicke came in, and the offense still did nothing. The Chiefs, I've personally not been very impressed with. I think they've had 3 games that were all, coin flip games pretty much against the Ravens, Bengals, and Falcons, and they just happen to win all of them because, they are a very good team. But if Justin Herbert was 100%, I would probably pick the Chargers, but his status is totally up in the air for me right now. And the Chiefs are still, I don't think they're not firing on all cylinders at all. For the Chargers to win this game, they need to get the run game going again. That's a big part of the reason they were so good the first 2 weeks. And either Justin Herbert is fine and he plays well, and Bosa's might be out as well, like Mikey says. But either Herbert is recovered well and he does great, or Taylor Heinicke starts and he has one of those worldy games that backups have every now and then. But I can't pick the Chargers. I want to pick them, but because Herbert's status is so up in the air, and the Chiefs are still not, firing on all cylinders, they got to get it going at some point. They always do. I got to pick the Chiefs, man. 24-20.
All right, Jay Too Shifty, you're up.
All right, so guys, I just want to mention the Chargers haven't beat the Chiefs since September in 2021. That's like 3 years we're talking about of just pure dominance. In which you can't really say anything about because the Chiefs have been on top of that division for that long. Again, this really for me, it's not really a like I think if Herbert was healthy or not, my result doesn't change. I just think this is one of those games where, all right, the Chiefs are 3-0, but it's been a shaky, like unconvincing 3-0. Like, is this the game where they get exposed? I was thinking that, but at the same time, I just don't know if the Chargers are the team to do that. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs, but I'm gonna go with the Chiefs, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is the game they lose because we just haven't seen the Kansas City Chiefs show up to play yet. I feel like they're still on their Super Bowl cruise. They haven't showed up to Arrowhead to play a game yet. Travis Kelce hasn't really gotten involved yet. Pacheco's hurt. The run game wasn't really established against Atlanta like we saw. Rashid Rice, if you ask me, really carried that offense last game, and like we said, they just got away with one. They're facing up against banged up Chargers defense, so that's something to look at. Yeah, like no part of me could just give it to the Chargers. They got Herbert in question. They got Bosa out. And this is they've been running the ball really well, but then again, you're going up against a Chiefs team which defends the run really well. They got guys like Chris Jones, Nick Bolton, George Karlaftis, Drew Tranquil, the young guy, I forgot his name. His first name. His last name is Chanel, I think, or Chanel, something like that.
Leo
Chanel. He's been impressive in the first 3 games. So this is we're looking at top 5, top 10 run defending team, which I think they're gonna be a little bit more disciplined. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. Again, wouldn't be shocked though if this is the game they lose, but nothing just tells me the Chargers are gonna win this game. Give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs in overtime. 28-21 in overtime.
Yeah, so the x-rays on Herbert's ankle were negative, but it's going to be a stretch for him to play. I'm not going to sit here and say I know he's going to be out like Jordan Love. He has a little bit more of a chance than a guy like Love. Dobbins is the bell cow in the backfield, 7.4 yards per carry. He's been really good this season, and that's the identity of Jim Harbaugh's offense. They are going to run the football up the gut. Their wide receivers are still solid and young despite losing what they did last year. They replaced Keenan Allen and Mike Williams in the draft. Last year they drafted Quentin Johnston, and this year they drafted Ladd McConkey. Noah can tell you all about Ladd McConkey on a future show, I'm sure. But, yeah, it's going to be – there you go, UGA champions, which, by the way, the Mets can never beat the Braves in Atlanta. I don't know what it is, man. I don't want to get into that, but I keep getting updates about the score. It's not pretty right now. It sucks. Anyway, yeah, look, Patrick Mahomes has not looked spectacular, but part of it too, Pacheco's been out, right? Edwards-Helaire has been out. So Carson Steele is your running back 1. Carson Steele is supposed to be an NFL fullback. Rashee Rice is carrying. Zach brings up a good comment here about Travis Kelce. Yeah, he's been getting double teamed. They know, you want to get Mahomes to target other guys, right? Rashee Rice has been the beneficiary, Zach, of Kelce's targets. That's where I'd say about half of Kelce's targets are going. Some of them are going to Rice. Others are going in other certain places. And the average depth of target for Kelce is not good at all. 8 catches for 69 yards. So he's not getting many first downs when he catches the ball either. But for me, this game is won defensively for Kansas City. I also like Jalen Watson a lot back there in the secondary. They still have a lot of good guys. Trent McDuffie, couple penalties against them last week. And yeah, this is a good point, Michael Bradley. Chiefs just activated Kareem Hunt. We'll see if he takes a step closer to playing this week. So right now you're looking at Carson Steele, Samaje Perine, and potentially Kareem Hunt as well. So I think those are all factors heading into this week. Give me Kansas City. Final score. Chargers defense is banged up. Give me a final score of 31 to 17. I don't know how the Chargers keep it close. I mean, I'm being a little more pessimistic about them than you guys are, but I had to bring it up. That's right. I had to bring it up, Adam. Our Mets, man. And Michael Bradley saying, go Bravos. Man.
My man.
Listen, man. Who are you? Kyle Russo? Zach? Travis Kelce doesn't deserve this double coverage, but I don't blame teams for this.
Well, I'm just saying, man. Ever since he started dating Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce's looked more like Travis Beckham. So, let's get it going.
You really gave us a low blow right there with that Travis Beckham comment. Travis Beckham, FYI, caught a touchdown. We're going to go there now. 2011, Green Bay Packers, Giants are 6-6.
Packers undefeated.
Strike first, baby. Regular season, we didn't win that game, but that catch set the tone. Giants offense got a little confident. Even though they didn't win that game, that turned the season around, and they took that into the postseason. I believe that was their last loss, or second to last loss of 2011.
Because they went 9-7. Wasn't that game like 45-38 as well, or something like that?
Something like that. So how do you like me now, Travis Beckham? My ass. All right. So sweep for Kansas City. Let's get to the next game. Finally, Michael, we haven't forgotten about you. You got to save one of the best 2 games of the week for last, in my personal opinion. The Buffalo Bills are 3-0 at the Baltimore Ravens. Josh Allen had an awesome game last night. Lamar Jackson looked very good as well in week number 3. Him and Derrick Henry, that duo is scary in the backfield. Josh Allen also made some interesting comments today. Let's read them. So, Noah, I was talking to you about this. Jason, I don't know if I got a chance to hit you up with this as well. Actually, yes, I did.
You did.
I did. So after the team's blowout victory against the Jacksonville Jaguars, that it's nice to have players who don't care about stats or touchdowns, he told reporters. When guys get to buy into this and really understand, like, I may not get the ball 4 or 5 times thrown to me a game, but the 1 or 2 times I do, I'm going to have opportunities to be in the end zone. It's a fun and wonderful thing when you have a bunch of guys that don't care about the stats. They don't care about the touchdowns. Blatant shot at Stephon Diggs. And guys, I love it. I love it. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm starting to think guys like Ken Dorsey, Stephon Diggs might have been holding the Bills back. If you think about it now, in hindsight, you got young guys like James Cook, Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir. These guys are balling out. And Josh Allen is looking like a top 3 MVP candidate 3 weeks into the season. He's looked that damn good. So your thoughts on these comments?
Well, I talked to Mikey about this a little bit earlier. I think Josh Allen is absolutely right. And look, I don't say that Stephon Diggs is a very good receiver. He could be a number one on, I'd say, over half of NFL teams still at this point. He had like 5,000 plus yard seasons. He was the clear number one of the Bills the past few years. But I think there comes a point where, I think it's best for all parties to move on. I think clearly there was a disconnect there at the end. Stephon Diggs wanted out. They traded him. And the problem with Josh Allen the past couple of years that people like to bring up, and I've talked with this with Mikey a ton of times, is the turnovers. And I think a lot of that was, he forced a lot of balls to Stephon Diggs because he was the go-to guy when they weren't there, and he threw, a few too many interceptions. 160 targets for Stephon Diggs last year. He has 24 so far this season. He's going to have less targets, but around the same amount of catches. He's in a good offense, but if he wanted to be the number one there, he's in for, because Tank Dell is really good, and Nico Collins, man. I mean, this guy's as consistent as an alarm clock, it seems like. I mean, just an absolute animal, pretty much. But I think he's right, and we saw it in the Jags game. 4 touchdown passes to 4 different receivers, and it wasn't just superstars. You got him airing out a 20-yard touchdown pass to third-string running back Ty Johnson. Khalil Shakir's, their number one, but he's not a clear number one, but he gets the rock. He does solid things with it. Very dependable. Keon Coleman with, I don't know if it was his first NFL touchdown or not, but, he scored as well. He's spreading the ball around, man. And James Cook, obviously I got to bring it up, Georgia Bulldog. He's killing it. I mean, absolutely on fire. Ray Davis, I think he scored a touchdown as well. 6 touchdowns by the Bills, 6 different players scoring all of them. That's just pure balance, man. I think Josh Allen hit the nail on the head, and I think that statement is, he supported Stephon Diggs throughout the years so many times, but when it finally, he left or whatnot, you don't have any obligation to defend the guy anymore, and you're starting to see a different Bills offense, I think. 0 interceptions for Josh Allen through 3 weeks when he's been, labeled as turnover prone the past few years. That's a big thing, and I think a lot of it is the fact he's not forcing those balls anymore, and like Tom, like you said, Ken Dorsey's gone. And, Mikey could comment on Dorsey if he wants. He'd obviously know better than us on how, if he was holding back that offense. But that's a big change they made as well. And they look amazing. I'd say best team in the NFL right now, at least just through 3 weeks.
You agree with that, Jason? I mean, I kind of like what Alan said because it wasn't anything like too insulting towards Diggs. I think he was trying to more compliment this new plethora of players that are in Buffalo rather than take a shot at Diggs, but he indirectly did.
So I saw this coming because a month ago, I don't know if you guys remember, but a reporter asked him during OTAs, does he miss Stephon Diggs? And he said he doesn't miss Stephon Diggs, but his absence will be felt. What he means by that is obviously just when you have a one-on-one matchup, you can just look down the field and throw it to Diggs. That will definitely be felt, but he doesn't miss him. Like you said, he wants to compliment the current team he has, get them motivated, saying, okay, that time was great, but let's make this time better. You know what I'm saying? He said, Allen said that Diggs was a reliable player who could be counted on every day, but the team is adjusting to life without Diggs. I mean, that's what you want in your quarterback. You want him to be focused on his current system. You don't want him to harp over what he had. And I think he's been doing a good job of that. You said he was a top 3 candidate. I think he's a runaway favorite right now, if you ask me. If the season ends today, he is the MVP by a landslide. I don't think it's even close.
I agree.
I was completely wrong about the Bills. I had this picture of them before the season. They lose Diggs. They lost Trey White and a few secondary pieces. I thought they were going to be way declined. They completely changed my whole perspective on them. They are probably the favorite in their division. Maybe we're even talking conference. They are a powerhouse in the AFC. They're nothing to be played with. Josh Allen is the real deal. Yeah. And he's like Noah's point. He's really been he's been trusting his receivers now, and he looks for all his reads instead of just bombing it to his guy, and that's just made him a better player. But with that being said, oh, my fault, we didn't even get to the games yet, so I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll keep the game analysis a little shorter because we've kind of hit the nail on the head with a lot of these points already. Michael's comment on Ken Dorsey, horrible passing concepts. Joe Brady uses motion at the point that they react to the react to the defense, and Josh has more ability to know what the defense is running. A lot of pre-snap motion to adjust. I like it. A 50-50 split guy most of the time, so the run game with Cook is taking a lot of pressure off. Yeah, man, utilized a lot more in the red zone. He only had 2 rushing touchdowns last season, I believe. Cook has already surpassed that this year, and he's getting used a lot more. In the pass game, as far as MVP, Allen went from plus 800, according to Michael, to plus 200 as a favorite in the NFL. That's a bold statement. And last week, one of our own made a bold statement about the Buffalo Bills.
All right. So I think Buffalo wins this game. I don't even know if it's particularly close. Josh Allen is the man. He's looked great so far, even though he doesn't have a true number 1 run receiver. I like Keon Coleman, but I mean, Shakir's their leading receiver. James Cook, my boy from UGA, has looked amazing so far, and Ray Davis is their number 2. Looked really solid. On defense, Greg Rousseau looked really good. But on the other side, man, Jacksonville has no running game. They're past Brian Thomas. I don't think they have a threat at receiver. And Trevor Lawrence has looked terrible. And you know what? I think by halftime, Trevor Lawrence gets benched for Mac Jones. And everyone watching this game switches to the Commanders-Bengals game, because this game is going to end 35-13 in favor of the Buffalo Bills at home. Jaguars are not that good. The Bills are amazing. Give me the Bills in a blowout. Embarrassing.
Well, we're watching Cincinnati, Washington by the third quarter. I'll tell you that.
Amen. Dude, I only messed up 2 things. The rest of it was perfect. I should have, instead of saying bench at halftime, I should have said bench second half, or bench, I think it was third quarter. And I should have gave the Bills a few more points. Other than that, as bang.
It's crazy how accurate that was.
There you go. Mac Jones came in, baby. He should have had a touchdown pass at the very end of the game, too.
All right, quickly here. We'll keep this one short because we've been talking about it for over 5 minutes now. No, I guess we'll start with you here. Are you predicting another pinpoint game here for Buffalo?
I mean, we'll see. I'm picking Buffalo. I know Mikey will like that. I think it'll be close. The Ravens are a much better team than Jags. And it's at home, whereas, the Bills, I mean, they home cook, man. Bills Mafia, man. But I can't pick the Ravens because the last 2 weeks we've seen they had a disastrous choke against the Raiders, and they almost had another disastrous choke against the Cowboys that luckily Lamar was able to, have a nice appreciate it, Brian. I'll get those to you real soon. But yeah, they almost had another big choke, and the Bills look complete, man. Like we already talked about the offense, but the defense has looked really good too. So give me the, I'll keep it short because we did go long. Give me the Bills to win this game, 28-17.
What's up, Brian McCardle? Appreciate you. Bucks fan, you missed our Bucks predictions if you're just tuning in now, but hope you're staying safe down in Florida. I know you guys are getting some bad weather this week. So, but Jason, you're up.
I like the Bills in this one, but sorry, Mikey, give me the Ravens. I'm not gonna lie to you. I want to see the Ravens get it together. That's really why I'm picking them. They probably should have been 0-3. I feel like that kind of sold the game for the Cowboys in that last one, but they found a way to get a win. Derrick Henry's has been pretty much unstoppable. Although the Bills do have a solid defense, and they have had for the past few years, I just think the Ravens, this is a game they have to win before they get into a really bad place. They're at home. I like Lamar in this matchup. He's going to run the option with Derrick Henry. It's going to be hard to stop. Honestly, I really see them just winning this game on the ground. They won't have to pass too much, if I'm being honest with you. That being said, give me the Ravens. 24, Bills 19.
So if you're Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken, what do you do in this game? You exploit the Bills' one weakness, and that is their run defense. They have been suspect against the run since dating back to last year. And what do the Ravens do well? Run the damn ball with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. That's what scares me in this game. You keep Josh Allen and that Bills offense off the field, you limit their possessions. Now, defensively for Buffalo, they have Greg Rousseau, Von Miller, AJ Epineza off the edge. That's scary. Also, shout out to DeMar Hamlin getting that interception last night. What an awesome story. And a comeback for a player who is back to starting right now for the Buffalo Bills. Awesome stuff right there. And look, the Bills still have no Matt Milano, no Terrell Bernard either, both on IR. So Balin Spector is having to man the middle along with Dorian Williams. Neither of those players are slouches. They are respectable NFL players. They are not equipped to stop Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson in the run game. Give me Baltimore. Final score, 27-24. And I said that firmly, too. I was not messing around right there. I was like, damn, I'm confident in this one.
I like that.
I'm sorry, Michael.
I got your back, Mikey, on this one, brother. I got you, man.
We are 2-1 against Lamar in regular season, defensive games usually. Agreed. Don't get me wrong. Bills are a top team in the NFL. They're the best team in the NFL through 3 weeks, but there's just something about this game. I think Baltimore sneaks away with it this week. And I don't think the Bills will let that carry over into week 5 if they do lose this game. They're still going to be fine. They're going to win 13. Minimum, they'll win 13 games this season. They keep trending this way. All right, lastly, final game, one of the Monday Night Football games. I threw this on the card because we've been talking about them throughout the show. The Seattle Seahawks go on the road 3-0 at the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff has not looked good through the first 3 weeks of the season. Detroit is favored by 4. Good running game. David Montgomery went off on Sunday. He was really, really good. Sam Laporta is banged up with an injury. Not good for fantasy owners. If you own Sam Laporta, I hope you snagged Likely off waivers in week 1. If not, look for Mike Gesicki off the waiver wire this week. He had a really good game on Monday Night Football. So, Jason, we will start with you. We got.
All right. So one thing I want to say is last year, we all knew the Lions had a good team, and they were one of those teams that have been bad in the past, and we're just a game away from making the playoffs. They had that last game against Rodgers' last game as a Packer, where they were treading in the right direction. And then from there, it's kind of been like, all right, this is an underdog team that's really good. Let's see, like everyone was rooting for them. Now it's kind of like they're not an underdog team no more because now they're expected to win. And I feel like even though they're 2-1, just their play has been a little bit disappointing. From a team that last year should have went to the Super Bowl, and now they're looking like, are we still that team, or are we I think, don't get me wrong, the Seahawks have had some pretty weak comp in the first 3 weeks. The Lions, I do think, have the better roster, but I haven't watched too much of either team to really make a take on this. So I'm just going to go from what I've seen, and that's just Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker the second, third, whatever. DK Mac. The Seahawks are 3-0, and they've proven a lot of people wrong. The Lions still got some holes to fill. It's going to be a close one for me, honestly. I don't watch either of these teams, but just give me the Lions. Hopefully they win this game. The Seahawks, they finally got a real competitive team, and this is where their Cinderella story ends. Give me the Lions. 26-20.
Man, this is a tough game because if I'm being honest, I haven't really been impressed with the Lions, and the Seahawks I think have looked really good, but they haven't played an offense with a pulse pretty much. I mean, the Dolphins with Skylar Thompson, and then he got hurt. Tim Boyle came in, I think his name is. Yeah. And then the Patriots, a completely anemic offense. Jacoby Brissett got benched for Drake May in the second half of that game. And the Broncos, who looked good last week, but the first 2 weeks didn't look like anything. Whereas the Lions have played good teams close. The Cardinals might actually be pretty good this year. They've been competitive in every game. They were able to win that one in a tight one, beat the Rams, who are better than their record shows, in a tight one that went to overtime. And they lost to the Bucs, who are another good team. They're at home in this one. Good old Ford Field. I think they have a better roster. I really do. I think they have quarterback advantage. Jared Goff is better than Geno Smith, in my opinion. David Montgomery's been amazing this season, but in fairness, so is Jack Charbonnet, in my opinion. Receivers, one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL, in my opinion, Jackson Smith-Njigba has looked really good to start the season. I think he's actually submitting himself potentially as their number 2 ahead of Tyler Lockett.
Mhm.
He's looked really rock solid. But then on the other side, you got Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams, who are looking incredible. So give me the Lions in a close one. I don't know what the over-under is, but I'm thinking it'll be a more defensive game than people might think, 24-21.
Yeah, 2 good defenses heading into this game. You look at the Seahawks, 3 wins, Broncos, Patriots, and the Dolphins with no Tua, obviously. Geno has looked serviceable to start the season. Walker's been out. Charbonnet's been in. He's been playing decent. Smith-Njigba getting more involved in the offense. And defensively, they have nobodies that are playing really, really well. Like, I knew Boyamafe coming out of the draft, but he's been really good. Derek Hall, linebacker out of Auburn, both of those guys have 3 sacks. They went ahead and they signed Terrell Dodson and Jerome Baker in free agency, and they look really damn good. Corners, Devin Witherspoon and Reek Wallen, they might have St. Brown and Jameson Williams on lockdown this week. You want to talk about a defensive battle? I'd be very, very concerned about starting Jameson Williams in fantasy football this week. Obviously, St. Brown is a must start. Sam Laporta also injured with an ankle injury. His status is in doubt for this week. Noah, to answer the question, the over-under is at 47.5. I feel like that's way too many points.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know here. Montgomery and Gibbs run the ball well. The Lions have the better offensive line, the better quarterback. I think they also have the better defense by a hair because of what Aiden Hutchinson has done this season. Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch on that back line, guys. Aiden Hutchinson has 6.5 sacks through 3 games. No sweat. I think Detroit wins. Give me a final score of weird score, 25-18.
I like it.
And that wraps up our NFL Week 4 quick picks. But promised last week we would do our immaculate grid.
Here we go. I haven't done any studying at all for this.
All right. So today's immaculate grid is the following. Let's screen share here and get it up for the folks. Folks, if you're in the comments section still watching us almost 10 o'clock at night on the East Coast, this is our last segment of the show. So make sure you are tuned in. So
do we want to take turns, I guess? Or what?
We could. You want to start with top left or just what we know?
I've already thought of one if you want me to go first.
So wait, the way this works is you want the lowest percentage, right?
You want to try to get a lower percentage, but if you can't think of anybody, then just take whoever.
I got one that's actually might be a pretty good one. Lions and Bears slot, wide receiver from the 2000s, Roy Williams. Played his last season in Chicago. It's the one, that one. That's him. Yep.
Oh my God, dude.
That's a good pull.
There you go.
I have one for Bears Vikings. But
Trying to think of less obvious ones.
You know who I'm thinking, right?
I think I do.
Jared Allen.
Yeah.
That
That's
is the
an
most
obvious one.
right.
I got another one, but I'll let you guys go first. I just thought of another one. You can go with one of the easy ones, maybe like 50 plus sacks. I think those are pretty easy.
Yeah.
Did Eric Ebron ever play for the Lions?
Mm-hmm.
That's one, but I actually have one I think is more obscure.
What's that?
Quarterback ran out of the end zone for the winless Detroit Lions, Dan Orlovsky.
He played for the Colts?
Yeah, his last season, man. Remember when they went 2-14? The 2 games they won was with Dan Orlovsky.
What do you guys think? Will Ebron or Orlovsky have a low? It has to be Orlovsky, no?
I feel like it's Orlovsky. It would be
Probably.
rarer. See what it is.
I can't believe he's taken his career with Stephen A. 23.
It's a little higher than I thought it'd be.
That is higher than I thought.
I feel like it's just because his name is so unique, you won't forget it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, Colts, 50 plus sacks. We got Robert Mathis,
Dwight Freeney.
Dwight Freeney. Those are obvious.
But it could also be someone that had 50 sacks in a career, but maybe
And-
just played with the Colts for like a year.
Like
Oh,
Justin Houston.
That could be one.
does
Trying to
does DeForest Buckner have 50 sacks?
Ooh.
He might be close. I don't know exactly.
Yeah, that would be risky for me because I don't know for sure on that one.
I feel like Justin Houston's a good one. I'm trying to see if I could think of one that would be even more like he only played with the Colts for a year.
Right. Bears, we could go Julius Peppers, Montez Sweat.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if Sweat's there. Julius Peppers is definitely there.
Trying to
Let's
see it. Just trying to see if I can think of a good pass rush.
DeForest Buckner has 62 and a half sacks.
Well, now that we've looked it up.
I know.
No,
See?
it's all good. Yeah, no, we're trying not to look it up.
Oh, okay, I got you.
No, all good.
I think Justin Houston's. I'm trying to think of someone else, but I'm struggling, honestly.
That might be the guy, right?
Yeah.
His name's definitely Justin and not James, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There he is. Also, Tom, you know what college he played for?
UGI.
There you go.
5%. Not bad.
That's pretty good. Let's see.
Did Tim? I know we were just talking about him, but didn't Tim Boyle play for the Packers and the Lions? I don't know for sure about the latter.
I feel like you're right.
How about Scott Tolzien?
He played for the Lions. I know he played for the Packers.
Oh man, I feel like Tim Boyle.
I'm trying to think if we got any kickers that would be on here.
I don't want to lose on that though, because
They like the NFC North for this one, man.
how about Marcus Sherrills for Vikings and Bears?
That's a good one.
Did Sherrills actually play for the Bears though?
I only remember the Vikings, but my memory is horrible. So
Skull, baby, skull. Help me think. Jared Allen's going to be a high one. That's
did Bernard Berrien play for the Bears? Or am I thinking of someone else?
He did.
And I know he played for the Vikings. That might be a good one.
That's a good throwback. Wow.
9%.
Good. Lower than Jared Allen, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, definitely.
Chester Taylor. Just thinking of random Vikings. Ben Lieber.
What about well, actually, I don't think he played for the Colts. No, he played for the Seahawks. Man, I'm trying to think here.
I don't know if the Packers corner Kevin King ever played for the Vikings. I feel like I remember him seeing in a Vikings jersey, but I'm not sure.
Oh, you did just make me think of something. Didn't Xavier Rhodes play for the Colts briefly?
He did. Yes, he did. He played for like a year there.
We want to try this?
Let's put an X. It might be a bit high because he's a recent player, but
it might be high.
At this point, I'm with it, though. Kerry Rhodes. Wait a minute. No.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Not terrible.
wait. Oh, I feel like I just thought of one for the Vikings and Colts actually. That was a quarterback, but then it instantly slipped my mind.
Who was it? Oh, it slipped your mind. Duh.
Yeah. Man, I think it would have been a good one, but I literally forgot as soon as I thought of it.
all right. So for the Bears, we have
50 plus sacks. I mean, I have a guy, but
we have Khalil Mack. We have
I don't think we want to burn that, right?
We got I'm trying to name like the obvious ones and see like who played. Wait, is Akeem Hicks gonna be obvious for the Bears too?
Does he have 50 sacks?
I feel like he should. He's
As a DT. This is where it gets interesting, right? Because now I'm looking at Packers Vikings. You could go Brett Favre, but our score is going to go up.
Right. It's not like super obscure, but I have like a okay one for 50 plus sacks for the Packers, which is Julius Peppers.
A rose for concrete. Oh, wait, I think I know who that is. Oh, man. Should we just burn Julius here?
See, but I feel like it'd be better if you used him for the Packers one because he played there way less.
You forget he played for the Packers.
Yeah. I don't think it'll probably be like 10% or something. Yeah, 15%. It's kind of what I expected. It's not perfect, but
no,
it's all right. How long did Jared Allen play for the Bears?
Not too long. We could actually use him here if you guys want.
I think he's way more known for the Chiefs and Vikings, honestly.
So we could go ahead and 5%.
That's better than I was expecting.
Nice. Packers Vikings. I'm so stuck on this Packers Vikings.
See, how up to date is this? Because technically, you could say Aaron Jones for Vikings Packers.
I get concerned about that.
Yeah.
I wanted to pull some bull.
There's somebody that played for both teams.
Oh, I got a good one. I'll let you guys think, but I got a really good one for Vikings Packers. If you guys can think of anyone else, but I think this is like as obscure as it gets.
Did we get what's his name? There's somebody on the Vikings right now that was on the Packers. Or other way around.
Guy I'm thinking of hasn't played in forever.
Aaron Campman?
No. Way more obscure. He is a defensive player.
Oh man. Al Harris never played for the Vikings.
It's a defensive lineman.
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue too.
There is another guy you're probably thinking of that's more famous. This one is really obscure.
Kevin Williams.
Did Zadarius Smith play for the?
That would actually work.
But it'd be a popular one.
Yeah.
Mine is like, I think it's honestly going to be like Roy Williams.
Tell us.
Yeah.
Latroy Guion.
Oh my God.
You remember him?
Yes, I do. Now that you say it.
I think it's with the I. I could be wrong though.
LaTroy. L-A. Oh, fuck.
It's probably Ali.
Try G-U.
There
There he
we
is. No. Let's see what this is. Oh, that's why I slammed my desk, man. I knew it'd be a good one.
Yo.
It would be a good one.
That was good. Very good. Very
All
good.
right, now I got to really think about this one.
Yeah, last one. We gotta get down there.
Charlie
Oh.
Pepper never played for the Lions, did he? I
No.
can't remember that.
No.
Audience, if you're wondering why I suck at this game, I haven't been alive to see half of these guys play. Just saying.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen all
I
these
just-
guys play a little bit.
I just realized that. There's a lot of
Oh man,
Yeah, I guess this is like an old head game, huh?
a little bit, yeah.
I'm trying to think of like a backup or like a third, fourth string corner for like the Packers Lions.
Oh, what was
Oh. TJ Lang.
Oh yeah, he did play for the Lions.
That could work.
That would work.
I feel like Tim Boyle could work too. I just don't know if he ever got on the field with both of them.
I'm trying to think. There was a running back that I want to say like 5 years ago that played for both these teams. He wasn't like a starter, but like a second or third string guy.
Oh my gosh, I know who he's.
Can't remember his name though at all.
Who was the backup on the Packers before AJ Dillon? I think that's the guy you're talking about.
He still plays too.
His
If we can't think of it, I got to look it up after this because it's gonna kill me if I don't remember.
name is
Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams.
That could work.
You want to do Jamal Williams or TJ Lang? What do you think is lower?
TJ Lang
there-
played longer ago, but he was like a really, really good player. And didn't Jamal Williams only play in Detroit for 1 year?
It's possible.
But it's very recent. Very recent. I'm trying to see if I can think of like a really, really
Wait,
out there guy.
Jeff Aberadaris, the wide receiver. You know who I'm talking about?
That is so unbelievably.
I just thought of him.
Are you sure he played for both?
Yes.
I think
I
wide
think
receivers.
I think that's a winner, right?
I think that beats Jamal Williams and TJ.
Would beat Latroy Guion. Let's see.
What about
Fuck. The only question is, how do I spell his name? Oh no. Oh man. I don't know if I know how to spell his name.
Equanimous St. Brown? I think he played for Lions with his brother. I could be mistaken.
Could he be? Could it be GEOF? I don't know. I don't know for sure. I barely even remember this guy.
I don't know how to spell his name, so he's out.
Mm.
He's out. Sorry, guys. All right, let's do Jamal Williams if you guys want.
Actually, go with Tim Boyle. I'm not if it's wrong, but the more I think about it, I'm actually pretty sure he did play for both. There you go. Rarity score 101. I don't remember if that's good or not. I don't remember what's a good score.
That's good. The average today was 433. Oh no, wait, that's Immaculate Grid 433. No. Average score 5.9.
See, we got it perfect.
Rarity score.
Oh, it could show the possible answers right there.
So we want to see who is more
TJ Lang.
TJ Lang, Mike McCoy. He was the fucking head coach.
Yeah, I never would have gotten any of those besides TJ Lang, honestly.
Wow. Ben Kowalkowski. I would have never got him.
Tim Boyle.
Ty Detmer. Let's take a look to see. I want to see where Jamal Williams and so these were the most popular. So if we went Jared Allen there, yeah. So the only Jamal Williams would have been the most popular answer there. So TJ Lang would have been a better answer here than that. Jared Allen would have been the most popular if we went with him in the middle. So I'm glad you talked me out of that. The only most popular guy we have on this list is Xavier Rhodes. That's pretty damn impressive.
I'm trying to remember who that quarterback was, man. That he was like a backup, but he like started for both of them at some point in like mid 2010s.
Who?
Which team?
I did the Colts Vikings. It wasn't Christian Ponder, was it?
No.
Man, I can't remember. Show me. Go look at the list. I'll know it if I see it. Or I could be completely wrong.
The Colts Vikings?
Yeah, that one. There's one I could think of, but I could think of the guy.
Jeff George?
No. Josh Freeman. That's who it was. That was the one that's the guy I was thinking of.
Wow. Mwaldi Moore. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I was thinking of Josh Freeman.
That's good. That's really good. I just want to look at sacks here, see who we could have gone.
Bruce Smith.
Oh, it's not going to show.
That's just the total.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dwight Freeney, Khalil Mack, Reggie White. Pete, wow, only 40% of people got this one. That's crazy.
Player scores 3,320. Oh, that's just how many I've had a perfect score. Okay.
Yeah.
Stuff you can't see like your rarity score compared to other ones.
Yeah, I want to know where we can find that.
Man,
this is fun.
If I had just remembered Josh Freeman, man, that would have been a really good one.
So
it was still good.
So, folks, just to recap, we went Dan Orlovsky, Xavier Rhodes, Justin Houston, Roy Williams, Bernard Berrien, Jared Allen, Tim Boyle, LaTroy Guion, Julius Peppers.
Hey, I got LaTroy Guion and Roy Williams, man. Those were good.
Well, folks, that's going to do it for our Immaculate Grid segment and for our show tonight. Noah, Jason, thank you both so much for joining us here tonight. It's been a lot of fun. 2 hours, 14 minutes later, still live. Because why not? Folks, appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure to check us out on all of our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and Facebook at Review and Preview Sports. Our audio is up on the Anchor as well. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications on our YouTube channel for more of the latest NFL and college football content. Also, make sure to go check out our wrestling podcast, Four Corners. You can check out Noah's show from last season, Pucking Around. Get some nice old hockey up there. Hockey season is back around the corner. And Noah and I are going to have to talk about our Mets and Braves really soon, man, because it's definitely not fun. And Jason, it feels good to know that the Giants have a win under their belt going into Thursday night. So kudos to both of you guys.
Go Braves.
Go Braves. Go Giants. That's right. On behalf of J2 Shifty, Noah Dog Dibler, my name is Tom Scavetto, wishing you all a good evening. You've been watching Review and Preview here on Facebook Live and YouTube. Have a good night.